Today on the Hero Nation Show, we're going to be talking about what does it take to actually become a coach. Do you want to be the big cheese? Today on the Hero Nation Show. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Hero Nation Show, the place where business owners and entrepreneurs just like you come to learn tools and tactics to live more epic lives. I'm your host, John Rinehart, and sitting beside me is my partner in crime, Wayne Salmons.
What?
Today, we're going to be talking about a really fun subject, which is going to be coaching. What does it take to become a coach? There's a lot of people out there.
Everybody want to be a coach.
Everybody wants to be a coach. You know it's easy money.
If you can't teach.
Exactly. So what does it really take to maybe go from like being in real estate to maybe being a coach, being a mortgage lender, being a coach? What does it take? What do we look for? How do you actually do this thing?
So, can anyone be a coach?
No.
Why?
Patience, commitment, and emotional intelligence.
Ooh, there you go. All right. So, why is it we get several calls a week probably from people that go, I want to be a coach. I think I'm getting into coaching, all this kind of stuff.
I've been in the industry for a while.
Yes.
My favorite one is they're like, I'm just kind of tired and I'm looking for something different.
Oh, yes.
And I saw you online.
Oh, gosh.
And you know what? I think I could do what you're doing.
My favorite one is people that go, I hate real estate, so I should coach people on real estate. That's their sales pitch, right? I hate this, so I'm going to coach people to do it's not going to work. So why do you think so many people want to be coaches right now?
I think it looks like it's easy. Mm-hmm. I think it ties definitely into the social media influencer realm and especially if you're doing it right. I think it's out there, and I think people want to be seen as leaders in their industry.
Yeah.
And some of it, honestly, is midlife crisis stuff. And,
I think that's something, yeah. And then I think there's some people that genuinely do. They want to help people.
Yeah.
And some people think coaching is the way to do that. And it is for some people. For a lot of people, they want to help people, and coaching isn't the way to do that. But I think a lot of times it comes from a good place.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say. I don't know if I actually agree with that.
I don't know if I'd put a number on it.
I'm sitting there. I'm like, I want to agree with you, but I don't know that I do. I think that people know the right answers. So I think they know the right answers. I don't necessarily believe that people have the awareness of their own motivations sometimes for wanting to be a coach.
Yeah, well, and I think most people aren't clear on what they really want in life in general. And maybe they know that what they're doing isn't really working, or it isn't fulfilling. So maybe it isn't really working financially, or it's not fulfilling. And I think that a lot of people see coaching as, hey, this is maybe a simpler schedule. Maybe this will be easier. Maybe this, whatever it is. Yeah. So I think it's a lack of clarity a lot of times, right? The first thing we do when somebody says they want to coach is we sit them down with John Boy here, and he digs in to figure out kind of what's going on. What do they really want? What are they after? And I think it's so often people are kind of grasping for, hey, I think this might be the next thing, and they probably haven't done the work they need to do. They probably haven't figured out where they really want to go. So they've created either they're not succeeding where they are, or they've created a success that they're not loving anymore.
Yeah, that's normally the case. So what is the correct motivation for wanting to become a coach?
I think that the correct motivation for wanting to be a coach is, I think it's a couple of things. I think one is you want to help. It genuinely lights you up when you see the light bulbs go off, right? You're someone who doesn't need to be on the front page. You're thrilled to succeed through others, right? Most of our victories, we don't get to celebrate them in the sense of like our victories are our clients' victories. When they go, man, I sold this many houses, right? That's what our victory is, right?
We don't get to put up. Yeah, Jerry sold 250 houses after coaching with us.
Yeah, we
don't get to do that.
We would feel like we're violating our clients if we claimed responsibility for what they did the work.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
But we had a little part of the but. So I think you got to be someone who loves to be behind the scenes a lot of times, right? I think it's also got to fall in line with two things. It's got to fall in line with where you ultimately want to go. Hey, this is on the journey to where I want to go, and I think that. I guess two more things. You got to be willing to do the work because it's a lot of really hard work, And you got to have some natural gifting, right? I think most of coaching is skill that you learn over time. I think that there's a piece of it that is gifting. I think you have to have some discernment. You have to have, you've had to be through some tough stuff. I think in order to be a great coach, I don't know, you might disagree with me. I think you need to be kicked in the teeth a couple times.
No, I
think
totally agree.
No, I think
if
life's been perfect, I want to be a coach. You
yeah.
lack so much insight.
Yeah, if your coach is sitting there like they haven't done anything, they haven't been anywhere, like they don't even have to have been necessarily somewhere in your industry. Like I don't really care about the industry part, but what I do care about is basic business principles. How did they learn? How did they get back up? What happened to them? Like, I don't want to be talking about someone coming directly out of college necessarily, unless maybe like their childhood was so, maybe they were an entrepreneur by the time they were like 14 and, they're Mark Zuckerberg. I don't know. But there needs to be something there that they've persevered through, that they've dealt with, that has allowed them to become aware of who they are, who they're not, and where their greatness actually comes from.
Yeah. Yep. So give me a couple, your top 4 or 5 qualities of a coach.
Qualities as in internal or like external things?
Let me ask, maybe this will help. What do you look for in people that coach you?
The first thing I look for is, do they listen? Do they ask really good? So do they listen and do they ask good questions? They almost need to be like one. But if they don't listen and they're constantly trying to jump ahead to whatever they think the answer that I need might be, I'm not interested.
Yeah. It's funny because we have so many people that reach out to us for coaching. And one of the biggest complaints we hear is they go, in one way or another, they say, my previous coach talked at me, not with me. They may not be able to articulate it that way right off the bat, but that's in essence what they're saying. They're going, I was talked at, not talked with. And we believe coaching it's co-creation, it's a dance.
Yeah. So, so I think that's the first thing, because that tells me a lot right there, actually.
Yeah.
Because there are certain people who are great teachers but not great coaches.
Sure.
Right? They're great orators, but they're not a great coach. Maybe they're a great counselor, but maybe they're not a great coach.
Yeah.
I counseling and coaching seem to get pretty close sometimes.
Can
be. Yeah.
Like we were talking about this yesterday with somebody. A great coach is willing to let you go on the journey, to guide you on the journey, not just try to take you to the very end right off the bat. Right? They're willing to take you through there.
Yeah. And this is a personal thing for me. I've had a lot of great mentors. I've had a couple of really bad ones.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of scarring ones. Yes, you totally can get scarred by some teachers and stuff. I look for grace and understanding for the way that I learn.
There's a big difference between judgment and discernment.
Yeah.
Judgment is like shame and blame and all this. Discernment is like, hey, is this going to work or not? Yeah. Right? And helping you make great decisions. A couple of things I look for in a great coach is I look for someone who doesn't think they've arrived and doesn't think they know it all.
Yeah.
Right? I love when I have a coach that goes, hey, you need to work on this, and I'm not the dude to help you with that. Right. And a great coach doesn't think they're the master of everything. They have and I think it goes back to high self-awareness, right? They have high confidence, low ego, but they have high confidence. They know what they're good at. And they're also very aware at, hey, if we need to spend the next 8 months on QuickBooks, I'm not your dude. Right? I'll be the guy that tells you need to get your QuickBooks up and running. I'm not the guy to sit with you in QuickBooks for 6 months, right? It would drive both of us crazy, right?
Yep, they're a master of something.
They're a master of their craft, and they're always growing, right? They have a coach. They're committed to growing, and we're having really authentic conversations. You know what I mean? They're not, and I think what you were saying earlier is, I don't want a coach that's trying to impress me. Right. And I think sometimes you run somebody that's trying to impress you, or you see people that want to become coaches, and really what they want to do is impress people. You should probably just go be a trainer, and that's okay. You should just be a trainer on a stage and go impress people and train them. That's cool. You shouldn't be a coach.
There are really good trainers out there. Yeah. That really help in that classroom kind of environment that are fantastic.
Yeah. Okay. So you want to be a coach. What are some of the early steps you would give somebody?
First thing is I would have them check their sphere of influence.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they're really, really wanting to be a coach.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, I'm looking at Facebook, their Instagram. I'm looking at social media. Do they have 1,000 friends, 800 friends? Do they have 5,000 friends? What does that actually look like? Because that has a huge impact on your circle. And a lot of times, unless you're amazing at cold calling and doing some of this kind of stuff, or you want to spend just a huge amount on ads and social awareness, like I'm looking for some of this stuff to be present because I want you to be successful.
Well, and a lot of times a leader isn't a leader unless they have followers.
Yeah.
Right, like you're not a leader unless someone's following, right? And I think that Facebook friends and Instagram likes and things like that, they aren't the end all be all, but they are a good indication of, do people see you as a leader? Yeah. Do people want to hear what you have to say? Because if they don't want to, if they don't want to follow you on Facebook, they probably are never going to want to coach with you, right? Yep. So I think that's kind of where you're getting at. Absolutely.
So I think one of the other ones that I would say right off the bat, you have to learn how to be very real with people. Very, very vulnerable with people, because you're trying to relate to people, and oftentimes when you're coaching someone, it can be in one of their darkest times. It can be dealing with sensitive issues. It can be dealing with all that kind of stuff. You need to get comfortable talking to other people about your feelings, what you went through, your weakest moments, and not be trying to shine from your strengths. Normally, we learn a lot from our weakest moments, and they're often the thing that allows people to gravitate to you, to relate to you on a deep level. They can admire you from afar with a polish. Right. They cannot stick to you without some rough edges.
Yeah. Yep, I think it's very true.
So the way I kind of look at it is people always, especially when they're coming out of like a professional industry like real estate or mortgage lending, car sales, insurance.
They're used to being on all the time.
They're used to being on, and it's really hard. Yep. You got to be able to turn off.
Yep. Yeah, well, I mean, like we were talking about the other day, my therapist called me out on that a couple years ago when I was coming off the road, off of doing Bold, and I was on 5-6 days a week. I was on all the time. And what she called me out, and she goes, "You're not even real." She goes, she didn't say it that way. She said, "You're on all the time and you don't even realize you're on." She goes, when you think you're off and you're just hanging out with your friends, you're still on. And I had to kind of get back in touch with myself and realize, what is it like to let the walls down and be less guarded and be less whatever, and be open to criticism without letting that mess me up, right?
Well, and part of that, I'll say part of that was, I don't think for you was, I don't think that was necessarily who you had become. I think that's who your leadership was. Mm-hmm. I mean, you were learning from Diana Kokoska, right, like one of the most on people that can't seem to turn off in the world. She's done great stuff, but she can't turn off for anything. And that was your mentor in the Keller Williams world. So, I can kind of see like how that would kind of be like the baseline.
Well, and kind of getting back to who I really was in a sense, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And running kind of on autopilot or exhaustion most of the time, and kind of getting back in touch. So
yeah.
I think another couple things, if you're considering coaching, I think a couple questions you'd ask yourself. One, am I willing to do the work? Am I willing to do a lot of work behind closed doors that nobody's patting me on the back? You're reading a lot of books. You're sitting down. You become a question nerd, right? Sitting down and researching questions, writing questions, going, somebody says this, okay, I could ask this, or I could ask this. Like, you're going through that process over and over. And then, do you have a coach? How many people come to us that want to be coaches and don't have a coach?
Right.
If you... It's question number one, right? You want to be a coach, but you obviously don't believe in coaching. And they go, no, of course I do. And you go, if you did, you would probably have a coach, right? There's a rare circumstance where somebody just fired the coach 2 days ago or whatever. But in general, if you believe in coaching, you probably have a coach, or you have an onslaught of mentors or whatever it is you've got stuff in your life. And then I think you just got to get willing to go through the journey and realize, especially with realtors, right? It took probably 3-4 years to get great at doing a listing and presentation. It's going to take you several years to get really great at this skill.
Yeah, I think that's, as I've kind of gone on my coaching journey, just the amount of depth outside the field that I coach in that I had to gain rapidly.
Yeah.
was amazing to me.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of books I had read. I've been around it a long time, but then all of a sudden like, oh no, I got there's several layers down here.
Right.
Wayne makes it look really easy all the time. It's not as easy as it looks. Not even close.
But I remember being with you, and like when somebody wants to be one of our coaching clients at Hero Nation, we give them a stack. We don't give them a stack of books, but we say, "Here's a stack of books you got to read," and it's a significant amount of books. And that's just the starting point, right? To get
just the
going.
beginning.
Yeah.
So what are some of those books?
So some of those books are, for us, we're in real estate, right? A lot, 60% of our clients right now are real estate based.
Yeah.
I think like the MREA is a great business book in general, right?
Yeah.
So the MREA, we're talking about, the one thing, obviously you have to read the books we've written. You got to read Traction, the Profit First. There's multiple books that are some of the foundation of coaching. You know what I mean? And then you've got to do some of the work that we'd expect a coaching client to do, right? Write out your plans, write out your goals, right? Do all of that kind of stuff.
And some things that I don't think people, one thing I think people don't understand that you need to understand is that unless you're willing to completely reinvent the wheel, which is going to suck for you, you need to be able to hand your clients stuff like sheets and lists and questionnaires and have a process of how you take them through all this stuff. Where do they go?
Yeah.
What do they look at? What happens? Do you have an onboarding process? What does that look like? How many weeks is it? What do you want them to learn in those weeks? What do you want to check on first? How often, where are their finances? Where are they emotionally? Like there is this huge list because you're basically, consulting on a deep basis someone's life and someone's business, and you need to be able to have a process to do that. And
here's where I agree and disagree. I think there's some people out there that want to coach on something very, very small and specific, and that's okay, right? Yeah. They go, I want to teach you how to use QuickBooks. I don't know why that's my example today, right? But I want to teach you how to use QuickBooks. I don't care what's happening in your family life. I don't care if you have kids. I don't care if you're. I don't get.
I would say
none of that's important to me, right?
That's training. That's not coaching.
Well, but I think there's a lot of businesses out there that do business coaching on a business, and they never talk about your personal life. I don't think that's right. We don't agree with that, right? But that makes it tougher for us, right? Because we've chosen to coach to the whole person, not just a specific area. And I think that makes it harder, which is awesome.
Yeah, but let's go into that for a second. Why do we do that?
Because I think the other way is kind of bullshit.
I will not call that coaching then.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, people can. It's just.
I think it's a little bit depending on how you define it.
I'm sorry. Here's the thing. I'm going to get passionate about this for a second because I'm sorry. I am tired of gurus and business entrepreneurs and all this other kind of bullshit, teaching people how to hustle, teaching people how to make sales, teaching people how to do everything else, but actually have a real fulfilled life. And the next thing, and meaningful relationships, meaningful commitments, a big why, and they don't understand it, and they get down and congratulations, you got success, and 10 months later you're dead because you put a bullet through your fucking head.
Yeah, but you got famous for talking about one thing.
This frustrates me because this isn't it, and I don't consider coaching to be effective if you are only trying to help them with one thing. That's called training. Let's call it what it is. You can make a course for it. You can go get it. ABC 101 steps to do whatever the fuck you want to go do, and we're done. But come on, it can't. No, it's not coaching.
I disagree. I think you can.
No.
I think you can call it coaching. It's just a different philosophy, right? And the philosophy is that I think there are people that think they can coach on one subject, but what we realize is what you and I agree on is if you're not making money, eventually it's going to show up in the other areas of your life. Right?
Yes,
if you're having great relationships, but you can't pay the bills, eventually that's going to catch up.
Yes.
If you have a great business, but all your relationships are dying, it's going to catch up to you. So I can coach on one specific aspect of your life, but if I'm a real person that's aware, self-aware, I know that that's eventually not going to work out.
Yes.
So I think you can call it coaching. It's just shitty coaching.
I like that. I'll stick with that. I'm like, we're gonna paint this thing black and white down the center.
And now, how to deal with tough conversations.
Well,
I think what's funny about that is blind spots, right? So I think one great thing about coaching is you got to get self-aware, meaning that you each have blind spots. One of my blind spots is sometimes I can be too nice or not direct enough. I realized years ago I would love people to failure because I wasn't having enough tough conversations. And I still work to have I'm just getting better and better conversations, right? You struggle with sometimes you want to jump the gun, right? And go right there when you haven't taken someone. Like every coach has some blind spots, and it doesn't make you a bad coach, right? Because every quarter has another side. You're aware of where I'm strong, where you're weak.
Yeah, and it's allowing the grace for yourself and for your client to move through those areas.
Yep.
So, as far as like book writing and guys, if you're deciding to become a coach, I really, really hope you have a good online presence. Yep. I hope you have a ton of videos. I hope you have been doing Facebook Lives and that you have figured this stuff out, because like it or not, if you are going to be a coach in this world, you also have to be good at social media. You have to be good at creating good content that connects with people, that develops them and has value for them. And if it's not, that's okay. But you're not gonna hit this ball, strong. And there are other like coaching programs. There's the Mike Ferry program and stuff like that. They'll just toss you a bunch of leads and allow you to, coach on one thing. But if you want to be amazing, if you want to be incredible, if you want to actually change someone's life, you got to do it a little bit differently.
Got to coach the whole person.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You got anything other like little parting pieces of wisdom?
No, I just think if you want to be a coach, ask yourself some great questions. Jump on the phone with someone like John who can help you self-discover what you really want to do with your life, and then get in the mirror and go, do I have a history? Do I have a history of following well? Do I have a history of people pouring into my life? Do I have a history of taking great people's advice? And am I willing to do the deep, unsexy, behind the scenes work and ultimately have an incredible reward by seeing lives change and seeing people that are making more money, spending more time with their kids, all this amazing stuff without needing to have your name on the sign.
Yep. Well, guys, that's all for today. Let us know in the comments below if you want us to go deeper into this subject. If you want us to go all technical, we'll tell you about mics and cameras and lights and weird stuff like that. Or if you want to know more about like some of the books, or would you like to know some of our recommendations for books for coaching, let us know in the comments below. We'll make sure to answer.
Yeah, you can go to theheronation.com, and there's actually right on there, I think it's on the first page, 14 questions to ask before you hire a coach, or 14 questions to ask a coach. And what I would do with those questions, if you want to be a coach, is ask yourself, what would my answers be to these 14 questions? And start there, reach out to us. And I think it's a huge, I feel humbled every day that I get to do this for a living. Right? I think it's an incredible opportunity. And if that's where you're at, get on the path. It is worth doing.
All right, guys, until next time, be your own hero.